It's difficult to do nature study when the weather doesn't cooperate or when your surroundings aren't very nature friendly. In this episode, we want to explore some ideas for doing nature study in less than ideal circumstances. If you've missed any of the previous episodes, be sure to check the show notes for links to those. But for today, let's jump in and ask Karen for some ideas. Welcome to the Simply Charlotte Mason podcast. I'm Sonya Schaefer. Welcome Karen Smith to the podcast again. We are continuing our nature study series. And before I tell you the topic for today, I want to ask, how long have you been doing nature study? Or is
All
that
my
too
life.
personal of a question?
No, all my life.
Okay, good answer. All right. How much of that time have you lived in a town and where there's cold, wintry conditions in the winter? The winters get cold and snowy and icy. How long of that time?
Pretty much all my life.
Okay, well, there you go. Then I think you're going to be very qualified for our topic today. Here it is. These are the questions, and they're basically about less than ideal circumstances. So one is asking for ideas for winter. We have a few weeks where it stays below zero and months of being too cold to go outside with notebooks. We're starting the SCM Nature Journal this year, and that's Journaling a Year in Nature, which you wrote, and it has a whole season of ideas for winter nature study in here. So that's good. We're starting that nature journal this year, and I'm sure that will help, she says. The other question is, what do you do when your local area is cutting down trees? We do cultivate our garden, but it's only 12 feet wide by maybe 30 feet long. Nature is so squeezed around here. So I'm reading into this that it's basically less than ideal circumstances. It's weather is not cooperating, surroundings are not nature friendly.
What can we do without going outside?
Well, yeah, basically. I mean, I know we've done episodes before on nature study ideas for winter, and some of those are outside.
Yes.
So we can leave a link to that episode as well. And haven't we done one for in the city?
Yes, we
as
have.
well. All right, so we'll leave links to both of those for more ideas. So today you're going to focus on nature study indoors.
Yes.
Interesting. All right. Fire away. How do you do that?
Well, there is plenty that we can do because nature is all around us all the time. It's not just outside our doors. Nature is within our houses. Many people have houseplants. Many people have pets.
Yeah.
So those are just two examples. But there are so many. I have a whole list that we can start to go through if you would like.
Yeah, I would love to hear your list. All right, go for it.
So one thing you can do is watch the birds fly across the sky from your window in the comfort of your own home.
In the heating.
Watch how
or
they
the air
fly.
conditioning. Oh, yes.
Different birds fly in different ways. So observe how the different birds fly. You don't have to go outside to do that.
Good one. Good.
If you have bird feeders in your yard, and you should, if you can have them. I know there are different neighborhoods that have regulations that you can't. Somebody might live in an apartment where they can't have a bird feeder. There's no place to put it. So if you can have one, put a bird feeder out. Put food in it. Watch the birds from your window in the comfort of your own home that come to it.
And I believe we've done an episode on bird feeders
Yes,
and
we
what
have.
types of feed different birds like best. So
Yes.
we'll link to that too.
Yes.
All right.
Now, some things that you can do if you already have bird feeders and you are continuing to see the same birds and you're tired of seeing those same birds, keep at it. More birds come the longer you keep your food out. I mean, over the years, not during the day.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
More birds come. as, I don't know,
Word
they have
spreads, I
like a
guess.
bird grapevine or something. But you can also try offering different types of food. Maybe you just put out sunflower seeds. Try putting out some suet. Try putting out peanuts that are in the shell. Now, I will caution you on that. The squirrels will take those before the birds do.
Okay.
So just put a couple out in the morning. Unless you want to feed all the squirrels too, and you can watch those too, the squirrels.
That's true.
So there are, wildlife comes to your bird feeders. You can put out a bird bath if you don't already have one. Now, for those of you who are looking to do this in the wintertime, there are heated bird baths that you can buy.
Oh, my.
And they're not like saunas
Yeah,
or hot tubs
little steam
for your,
rising.
for your bird. They do plug in, they're electric, and they just keep the water temperature above freezing. So the birds have a water source and they can get a drink.
Yes.
And interesting, it's not just the birds that come. We have the neighbors' cats come and drink out of our bird bath in the wintertime, and of course the squirrels do. And so they're, again, the open water in the wintertime will draw birds and other animals to your location, and you can observe them from your windows.
From inside, yes.
You can also try putting the feeders in different locations in your yard.
Why will that change things?
Well, different birds like things in different places. Let me give you an example. I had a problem with the raccoons opening up my suet cage and eating all my suet. And so I moved my suet to the tree, and I came up with a way to hang it on the trunk of the tree. And more birds come to it now than they did when it was hanging on a pole. Now, to make it more interesting, sometimes you get down to where you just have a small chunk of suet left, and it's a little difficult for the birds to get. And so one day I took that out and I just wedged it between this tree has a split trunk. And so I wedged that piece of suet between those trunks. And I thought, the raccoons would just eat it.
Yeah.
But what I found is that the woodpeckers prefer going to the one that's wedged in the trunk than they do the one that's in the cage that's hanging on the tree, also where they can they can cling to the tree and do that. But they go to the one that's wedged.
That's wedged.
Yes.
Interesting. So
try
experimenting.
Try different locations.
Okay.
Try different ways of presenting the food. You might be surprised at what you see.
Attracting different birds. Great.
Yes. Another thing you can do inside is learn the bird calls.
Oh, that's true. Allaboutbirds.org.
Yes.
Is a great resource.
Right, there's different websites, there's apps. For those of us who are old school, there's CDs. And play the ones of birds you know that are in your area. Use your field guide if you're not sure. A field guide will tell you which birds are in your area. And you can listen to some of those calls, learn them. And then when the weather is nice, you can go outside and hear the birds singing their songs.
Because they're very
in
vocal in the springtime.
Yes,
Yeah.
when they are getting their territory set. And this is my space, and when they're drawing a mate. And so that is a good time when the weather is nice and you want to go out again.
Yeah. So it's like you've done your research.
Yes.
So you're better prepared now to enjoy it in real time.
And you'll see more birds if you can hear them and recognize their calls. So,
good point.
Here's one that I know most moms do not like.
Uh-oh.
You can look for spiders and their webs within your home.
Sure.
Because spiders, there are spiders who are outside and there are spiders that live inside. And the ones that are inside, if it's a warmer day, they're going to be active. And their webs are always there. We're constantly taking them off, out of our corners and light fixtures and things like that. So look for those. That's nature.
Yeah.
And that's within your home. You can force some bulbs, flower bulbs, to grow. They're kits at the stores that you can buy that will give you the instructions for doing that. That's
We
a
did that
great
one
way.
year. My youngest and I, someone gave us a bulb for Christmas, and so when it was time, and then we would draw what it looked like every few days,
Yes.
so we could progress, chronicle its progression, its
Yes,
growth.
and that's a great thing to do. Now you have a focus for several weeks
Yeah.
of nature study within your home. If you have houseplants outside of the flower bulbs that you might force
Right.
to do that, observe those houseplants. How are they different? What happens if you move a houseplant to a different location?
Oh, yeah. See, this happened, and I didn't even think of it as nature study. We repainted our dining room, and we put the plant back in on one wall. It used to be right up next to the window. We put it on the back wall. It's only, 10 feet away, and the sun can still get in there. We figured it'd get more sunlight at the angle, but it just started withering. It was dropping leaves all the time. So
Wasn't the proper light for that plant.
yeah, so
And
we moved it
yeah,
back, and it's
you can
happy.
do-
Oh my!
You can do experiments like that, and with your houseplants. You can get a bouquet of flowers from the store. Bring
Sure.
them home. Look at how they are different. Look at what makes up that flower. What are the parts? There's the petals, all those different parts of the flower.
Yeah,
You can look at those and observe.
the
Different
differences in their
kinds.
leaves. You can see that.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
You can even put them in a vase of water. Notice which ones wilt faster than the others. There's always some that
Yeah.
you have to remove before the whole bouquet is.
Yeah, which ones last longest? And
Yes.
yep.
So that's all nature study. You can observe the clouds in the sky from your window also.
True.
Some days when you live where it's cold and snowy a lot, some days it's just dreary gray. But there are days when the sun comes out, or it's partly cloudy, or even mostly cloudy, and you can notice the different cloud formations. How are the clouds moving in the sky? Clouds do move.
Yeah.
So you can watch the movement of those because of the wind currents where they're at.
You can get a feel for the wind without being out in it.
Yes. You can record the weather. Take a couple of weeks, longer if your child's very interested in that, and just record the temperature each day. Record if it was windy or not. Was it sunny? Was it cloudy? Any of those types of things that are weather related that your child wants to record, you can do that.
Okay, now here's a question for you. Because when you say record the temperature each day, the hindrance, I guess, the blocker I came up against was if I record it first thing in the morning, that's really different from if I record it at 3 o'clock in the afternoon on a winter day.
Yes.
And if I record it in the morning on one day and 3 o'clock on the next day, I get really weird weather patterns. So what do you suggest for that?
You can record the lowest temperature and the highest temperature for the day. If you don't have a thermometer at home, or you want to make sure you do it at the same time every day,
Okay.
at the very least.
Okay.
But if you don't have a thermometer, an outside thermometer to do that, your local TV stations, go to their websites, find out what was the high temperature, what was the low temperature.
Or my weather app.
Or your
tells me.
weather app
Yeah.
tells you, or the National Weather Service, or the National Oceanic, I can't remember all of it, but it's NOAA, NOAA is
Okay.
also a good part of that. And so you can go to these places that record the weather.
So lowest and
get
highest,
those.
or just same time every day?
Yes.
What is it at your house?
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
And it depends on the age of your children,
That's
how much
true.
you want, how detailed you want to be, how accurate you want to be, and not just the age of your children, but the bent of your child. Is your child interested in this and really wants the details on
Yeah.
that? Or is it just, whatever?
Is it
that
sunny
sort
or
of
is
a
it
thing.
cloudy?
Right.
That's it. Yeah.
So, keep that in mind.
Okay.
Watch a sunrise or a sunset. Sunrises this time,
Yeah.
in the winter, Sunrises, if
You don't have to
you
get
don't
up.
have to get up very early to see
Right.
them.
Yeah. And
And
sunsets, are
sunsets
happening
also.
pretty
So
early.
all
Yeah.
of those things.
Good.
You can grow mold on bread.
Okay, now this sounds like a science
So,
experiment.
well, but mold is nature.
That's
And
true.
so science experiments oftentimes are nature study because we're seeing how our world reacts. Different things in nature react with each other. So different things you can do. Put the bread, do several slices of bread.
Okay.
Different moisture levels for each piece. Different locations in your house. Put one in a dark closet. Put one where it's light and sunny. Put one in the refrigerator where it's cold. Compare.
So you're not,
How-
are you like putting these in Ziploc bags or are you
Yes.
just, okay, put them in a bag and then, so
Yeah,
the
you don't
dog
want
doesn't
those
eat
mold
them.
spores going
Yeah, good point.
in your home too.
Good point. Okay, okay.
Just one thing you could do. You can look at the mold with a magnifying glass. There's just observe what happens. That's nature study.
Uh-huh.
There are different crystals that you can grow inside. Rock candy is one of those ones that most people are familiar with. An oversaturated sugar solution. And you put a string in it and crystals form on that string. But there are also other crystals that you can grow with some different household products. Find an experiment book that will give you guidance on those types of things, but just something that you can do.
And then I assume you would look at those crystals with the magnifying glass?
If you wanted to, or any way you wanted to.
Okay.
I remember as a child, I received as a gift a crystal growing kit. And, I thought it was fascinating. Experiments with friction or simple machines. These are both physics type things that you can do. But again, it's nature study because friction is part of nature. Even simple machines are part of nature. A fulcrum. How are you going to move that heavy object up the stairs? Maybe you use a ramp. How do you sweep the floor? That's part of physics. The way you hold the broom, that's all part of that. So don't overlook those more abstract types of nature study things. Chemistry experiments are another thing. You can do that with baking. Baking is chemistry. Cooking is chemistry. So don't overlook that.
And winter's a good time for that.
It certainly is. What happens when you add vinegar to baking powder? Make sure
That's a fun one.
sure you do that one where it's easy to clean up.
Yeah, in the sink or in the bathtub.
But there are other things, cornstarch and water. What happens when you mix those? And so there's all these different things that you can do, chemistry-wise. That it's nature, it's how things interact with each other. Here's a favorite of mine. Get some owl pellets from a science supply place. And there are ones that will sell to homeschoolers, and you can buy as many or as few as you need for your family. So if you only need one, you can buy one.
One owl pellet.
Yes.
Okay.
And have your child pick it apart and find out what's in it.
Okay, for people who are not sure what an owl pellet is.
When owls eat their food, they eat it whole. And some of what they eat is not digestible. The bones and the fur, in particular of a mouse, say, that they eat. And so their bodies are designed to package those indigestible things into a pellet-shaped object, and then they regurgitate that.
So you
so
could
the
see what
result
the
are the
owl
bones
ate.
and some of the fur.
Okay.
So that would be in the pellet. And they are sterilized. The science supply companies sell sterilized ones, so you don't have to worry about other things that could be with that.
I'm assuming they come with instructions.
Yes.
Oh, good. Okay. Could be interesting.
Mushroom growing kits. Grow mushrooms.
Oh.
Mushroom growing kits are very common at stores today. And get those, follow the instructions, and grow mushrooms, and then enjoy eating them, because those mushrooms are for eating. They are safe to eat. Do experiments with magnets. Another one of those nature things that we don't think about as nature study, but it's there. Let your children play with magnets. Get a prism and split light into rainbows. Every winter, I put a prism, I have two now, in a window. They're in my south window now, and as the sun moves across the sky, I get rainbows in that room, because I position them so that it will split the light into rainbows in that room. So just things that you can do, but you can shine other lights through it and see what you get, and that sort of a thing. So let your children play with prisms. And again, science supply places, friendly to homeschoolers. You can get one prism.
Okay. Let's leave links in the show notes to these science supply places that you know of that we can pass along to our viewers. Okay, great.
All right, just a couple more.
Yeah, these are great ideas. Keep them coming.
You can observe reflections on windows and mirrors.
Reflections.
Yes. That, again, is properties of light, which is nature. What reflections do you notice?
What
Mirrors,
doesn't reflect?
What doesn't reflect?
Yeah.
What does reflect? How does the sun or the light have to be to get a good reflection? All these different things. Okay? And one last one. When the weather is nice, or when you are out someplace, collect some rocks. Bring them home and save them for those times when you cannot get outside to do nature study. Let your children look at the rocks and observe them. Magnifying glasses are great for this, maybe a pocket microscope. They don't even have to identify what types of rocks they are. They can just look at how they are different, how they're the same, how are they made up, all those different things.
Great ideas. Great ideas. Thanks so much. Lot of ideas to choose from, to customize for the different children in the family, the different ages.
And you can level up or down with many of them.
Yes. Same activity, just increasing or decreasing what you're looking for. Excellent. Thanks so much. If you enjoyed this podcast, be sure to subscribe so you don't miss an episode. We'll leave links in the show notes to the previous episodes in this series and to those supply places that Karen told us about, that you can get wonderful nature items singly or just as many as you need for your family. I think these ideas are going to be great for those of you who need to do nature study indoors on some days. Thanks for joining me. I'll see you next time.